I want to take some time to respond to a commenter who's asking if clients have ever been attracted to me. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. She says, Hi, Dr. Jones. I've been meaning to comment and ask, have you ever had issues with patients being attracted to you or catching feelings for you? If this topic is a video that you've covered, I can go and search for it. I believe I've covered it, albeit I'm not sure if I've covered it in one video or a sum of videos. I've done quite a few now. So to answer your question, yes, both men, women, and transgender clients have been attracted to me over the years. I will say, out of all of them, women and trans are usually the more aggressive, meaning that they don't like to take no for an answer. In terms of, letting me know, hey, I'm attracted to you. I want this to be something more. That's always a risk that you run, doing this type of work. You are sitting in a room with somebody, usually 45 minutes to an hour, and they're sharing their secrets, their feelings, their thoughts about other things. And so naturally, attraction can grow from that, from on their part, because, hey, it could be the first time they've done it before, or they feel safe. And with safety comes attraction. And I've had it show up in a number of different ways. I would say I encountered it the most, of course, when I worked in the prison. So it's quite different to have one person attracted to you via a group of men attracted to you. Believe it or not, when I worked at prison, of inmates, a large group of inmates, and not necessarily all of them were clients that I've worked with, but just, inmates in general would sing, love songs and things like that. And that was like a big issue that I had to like take care of, because that draws attention and misinterpretations from staff. And not only that, it's inappropriate. So that was something that had to be addressed. Um, Clients also did not, in prison when I worked there, clients also did not like when I left. And, a lot of times, when I terminated or when I decided to leave prison, it was, some inmates were like, oh, great. Now we can really be a couple. And, they took that as like, okay, now we can pursue something more now that you're leaving, because I don't like the idea of you leaving, but come visit me. We can work this out. So it would be something like that. Um, I've had, inmates that wanted to, I would have to do tier walks, like cell sides, whenever program was shut down or people wouldn't show up to their appointments. So, I would have to do tier walks, which means I have to go cell to cell. Um, and sometimes when you do tier walks, unfortunately, there's showers in the tiers that are kind of open. And, unfortunately, some of the inmates would want to have a conversation. Let's talk now that I'm in the shower, and no, we're not doing that. Also too, I think when you're working in prison, men want to appeal to you sexually, so they may come to you, and it's okay for them to be out on the yard with no shirt on, but I don't allow people to talk to me without being fully clothed, and they know that, or they knew that rather. But anyhow, despite them knowing that, they would still try to engage and have me look at me, that kind of stuff. And it would even occur in clients that weren't on my caseload. And now with people who identified as trans, what I've noticed a lot of times, especially and more so in custody than anywhere else, they would not. Legally, I have to identify people by their pronouns and whatever name they decide to go by. But whenever I had one that was trans that was attracted to me, they did not want me to identify them in that way, and did not want me to see them that way. So they would want me to see them as a man. That just call me by my government name. I'm a man. We don't even have to acknowledge that. So there would be some of that kind of stuff to like appeal to me, and then there were other trans that really, I guess, it would be more admiration, and so they would try to embody my style to appeal to other inmates on the yard. So we had that. But women are, by and large, more aggressive. They don't take no for an answer. So if I were to tell a woman no, why? What can we do about that? I don't really believe that. I believe that you want me, type of thing. And so it would be more like, and so I've had to let women go from my caseload. And this is, in private practice, so this isn't necessarily in custody, because they don't take no for an answer. And women may even write long letters, talking about, you misled and I thought we should be together and blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't necessarily more so misled. It's just like, I've shared all this with you and you've sort of betrayed me by this actually just being a job for you and you don't care about me, type of thing. Other situations have happened, where, you know, people have gradually undressed, when I worked as a 1099 somewhere, or something like that. People show up gradually, and whenever someone's not dressed appropriately, and this has always been something I've done, always tell them, hey, you need to button up your shirt, you need to always wear a shirt or zip up your pants or that kind of stuff. And people will still continue to show up gradually, and one person has shown up without a shirt on at all, and all of my office mates and things like that were kind of like, whoa, what's going on there, what you got going, and I'm like, so that's a conversation that I have to have. But you have people that misinterpret, sharing feelings and vulnerabilities, and we have people that have antisocial, borderline personality disorders, and other disorders in general. That's they feel something. Also, you're working with a vulnerable population. And anytime I've worked with a vulnerable population, you always have to be extra sensitive. That's why I never ever touch clients. I do not touch clients. I don't recommend it at all. I advise against it, not even in the slightest way. But whenever you're working with vulnerable clients, you have a group of people that are used to being taken advantage of. So they're used to sort of testing the limit and seeing, what they can get away with, or what sort of relationship can start by them testing the limit and things like that, and also getting their way, because in the past, they maybe have tried it with another staff member and they've gotten away with it, and a staff member has gone for it. You have people that are in depraved conditions that have been living in custody for a long time. So you have that. So yes, there is sort of vying for attention, vying for connection, and also people who are just being manipulative. Can I hook Dr. Jones? People will also, especially in custody, try to get other people to do their bidding for them. So having their mama call was something I used to experience a lot. Even after I left, it just became this thing where, and when I reported it to prison staff, they can't do anything because I'm a public figure. That's what they would tell me. I have a business. I'm a public figure. So they didn't really see the need to interfere, versus someone who goes without an identity and can't be found. That's a little bit more. They can intervene a little bit more with that. So I hope that helps to answer your question. But I always redirect, have a conversation, and discuss boundaries, client, therapist role, and all of that kind of stuff, and redirect, and eventually discharge if they can't take no for an answer. Thank you.